For those of you fellas that work certain jobs, whether you're in corporate America or you work some type of industrial job where you look at the middle management, sometimes they make hires to kind of weave out the weasel of who in middle management or just who overall on the team is causing the productivity to be kind of operating at a loss. And I think this type of hire with Quin Snyder in the Atlanta Hawks is kind of coming into play in the same way here. They're trying to find the weasel of why this roster is basically a championship roster, but is underperforming. And Trae Young already been through a number of coaches so far already. And if you look at the hiring of Quin Snyder on the Hawks, it's very interesting because they gave him power of control of personnel. And also, if you look at the characteristics of Quin Snyder, he's a no-nonsense coach. Very disciplined, very structured guy. And Trae Young, especially the way he's been operating on the offensive end, taking these wild shots, and defensively, not disciplined at all. And the viewing audience could definitely foresee a potential clash happening here, as it's clear to me that the Atlanta Hawks made this hire to kind of fish out to see if Trae Young is the issue. It's interesting because sometimes superstars can actually hold their franchises hostage, knowing that the economy of their franchise has a lot to do with the figurehead. We see this play out with Ja Morant. You see the way he's acting out. He clearly understands that he is the whole economy of the Memphis Grizzlies. Same thing for LeBron James up in Cleveland. But with the interesting case of Trae Young, he is a small guard. He has very little wiggle room for mistakes. You see, the Hawks have to design their team around his deficiencies, aka not playing defense. And if you look through the NBA history books, you'll see that small guards don't really lead teams to championships. It's only pretty much Isaiah Thomas is the last one. And that was what, in the late 80s? So it's almost been like 40 years since that happened. So your success rate for having a small guard is very slim. So when you factor the Hawks already knowing this, and on top of that, hiring Landry Fields as a brand new GM in collaboration with a brand new coach that was hired, you already know Trae Young's chances for having leeway for making a lot of dumb mistakes and having arguments with personnel is getting slimmer and slimmer by the day. And best believe Nate McMillan did a beautiful job after taking over for the Hawks. They were going through a similar struggle as they were going now, and he led them into the playoffs, and they were able to knock out the Knicks. It was that season. Just for Nate McMillan, it's rumored in the past couple months, he was trying to put up his resignation papers. He was actually trying to get out of the team. So there's clearly a cultural issue going on in Atlanta. And as we all know, once you have a new GM and a new coach, sometimes they're not as committed to the previous players that were drafted by another GM. That's another thing to factor in. But once again, a lot of these franchises low-key are strong-armed by their superstars. And we're clearly seeing the effects of it with Trae Young here. He's been through way too many coaches in a short span. And this roster, once again, you look at their bench, they even just added Sadiq Bey. This should be a championship-bound team. I mean, for all the additions that they made to this squad, it's almost like now you're looking back and you're wondering if the Sacramento Kings getting hurt here was the better part of the deal, as the Kings are sitting, second place in the Western Conference. So this is not overall good looks. They got Brogdon on a steal. They were able to get DeJounte Murray in the trade, sending away all those picks. They added Sadiq Bey. This team should be a lot better than what they are. So we'll see how that plays out. Until next time, you fellas stay safe. Peace.